We don't do claps anymore. Okay. We didn't have to do it then, but we're doing it.
Did I make you lose your train of thought?
You did a little bit.
Okay.
There it is again. The claps for clappy claps. Coming to a YouTube near you, a featured series called.
You know, I hit that by accident, but it fucking worked.
It's good because I didn't have a name for what this series.
Kind of in tune with what we're going to talk about today.
We're going to talk about TV shows, guys. More specifically,
definitely we can't have a TV show.
More specifically, the art of the miniseries, because we are big fans of the limited series, miniseries type of show, and we feel like there's one outlet that does the miniseries the best. I mean, that we've noticed, and that's HBO. We talked a little about HBO on the...
So the HBO Max, like when it came out, we had a whole discussion about it.
Yeah,
and,
the Snyder Cut and all that stuff.
It's been very valuable to us already. I've loved every second.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think we've both recently indulged in a series that I didn't expect.
Yes.
But I had my eye on.
Yeah.
It's The Outsider
on
HBO. And for now, considered a miniseries. Who knows?
For now. Yeah. It is Stephen King based, so you always know there's always some sort of connection with Stephen King stuff. They might continue with it, but I discovered it. Well, I mean, obviously I was on HBO Max and, they were advertising it. So I was like, you know what? It's Jason Bateman. It's Ben Mendelsohn. And it's a Stephen King adaptation. So you know what? Let me give it a shot. I watched the whole thing in the day. Like in a day, I watched the entire series because...
It took me a couple of days, but yeah.
It
was really good.
I loved it. And like how we were talking off camera, it's like there's some shows that need 2, 3 seasons, 4 seasons, 5 seasons. But what HBO does is that if the story ends in a season, then it ends. Then that's it.
There's just something about, and it's kind of why I like movies.
Yes, yeah.
There's usually an end, and there's nothing wrong with things ending.
Yes.
And when you have a nice, just perfect little package of a story, and you just need a little bit more than 2 hours to tell it.
Yeah.
A miniseries is perfect.
Perfect. I mean, we've been fans of the True Detective series on HBO for years.
Probably season 1's probably one of the greatest things on television.
Absolutely. If you haven't seen the first season of True Detective, get HBO Max and watch the first season.
Get yourself a little bit of Matthew McConaughey
and some
from Woody Harrelson.
Woody.
Definitely just it's so good.
It keeps you on your seat, on the edge of your seat, just like from the beginning. Like
time is a flat circle.
Time is a flat circle. The second season, you didn't end up watching it.
I watched the first episode with you.
I watched it. I'm a fan of Vince Vaughn, and he was like the main protagonist of the series. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it had Colin Farrell in it.
Yes.
And I think it had Rachel McAdams, I believe.
I can look it up, but I think so.
I'm pretty sure it was Rachel McAdams. And it had I forget the other actor's name, but it wasn't as good as the first season. It was a different kind of feel. It wasn't so dark. We're gonna get to dark in a minute. It wasn't pun intended. It wasn't as dark as the first season, but it was really good. So I mean, and then the last season that just premiered last year,
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
And what is the Stephen Dorff? I love Stephen Dorff. He was awesome.
Yes.
So yes, there's 3 seasons out. The good thing about the detective series, the True Detective series, is it's anthology. So every season doesn't connect to the season before or the season after.
I just want to add in there also this television icon, Scoot McNairy.
Scoot McNairy. That's my guy, bro. Scoot was so good in that season.
Scoot McNairy
so good.
Is he's like the, I don't know, the sixth man of all television.
Pretty much. He was supposed to be in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then
I'm not gonna lie. Would have been great.
Tarantino was like, I can't fits you. And
Wait, wasn't he in?
was he in it? I thought
no,
he wasn't in it. He was in it?
Wasn't he one of the in the Western?
You might be right.
Scoot McNairy was in Once Upon a Time.
He might have been in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you haven't seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, watch the movie, because Tarantino is awesome.
Hold on. I'm going to look it up right now.
He
was in Once Upon a Time.
But I could have sworn that he didn't make the theatrical cut.
No, he did.
He did? Okay.
He did. Do you remember? It's when Leo's character is on the show performing, like they're acting, and Scoot's like one of the.
Oh, you're right. And that's when he keeps messing up. Is that what? Scene is so good.
God, Scoot McNairy is really good. You guys got to watch more of his stuff.
Watch True Detective. It's the art of the miniseries is just so good.
He's also in BVS.
He was in BVS.
So I'm just saying.
It's the guy in the wheelchair.
All right, we're getting sidetracked. He was also in Narcos.
Do you have a
and Godless?
Really?
Godless was such a good. That's another mini.
Yeah, another
miniseries that I really
have not watched that one yet. Yeah,
Godless. I love westerns, and it was really good.
I've been wanting to watch
There's
that
so many
one.
good miniseries.
Netflix is, don't get me wrong, HBO is great. Netflix obviously has so
up their game,
many.
for sure.
Yes. I mean, Dark
is not a miniseries, but it is a out of nowhere story.
It could have ended at season 1. I'm not
gonna lie, it had one of those like cliffhanger endings where I'm just like, yo, I don't even need really more.
If it would have ended at season 1, I would have been like, that is fantastic. They came out with season 2. We haven't watched it yet. And then now season 3 is even out. So it doesn't really fit in our category of miniseries, but I just thought I'd throw it out there that if you haven't had the chance to watch Dark on Netflix, go watch it. We watched it in German.
Yes, as you should. I always believe in the original language.
Yeah.
Like you can just hearing the characters, and then obviously you can read the subtitles, but it's something about it just makes more sense.
And you can get the tone of the scene better when you're hearing even if you don't understand the language, you can understand the tone more or less. Should we talk about The Night Of?
Well, I wanted to touch on all right, this is exactly why, so even The Night Of, there's something about a miniseries that it seems it's very enticing for actors in Hollywood.
Yes.
Because it's not a large commitment.
Mm-mm.
You go, all right, schedule out a couple months here. We're gonna shoot 10 episodes, and you're gonna get really deep into a character.
Yes.
And when you see some of these actors, television has upped its game, but there's just certain actors that you want to see more of.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when given the platform, they shine.
They thrive.
So when you see The Night Of, and first of all, another one of those HBO, I didn't know what to expect.
It's so good. The way that the suspense of it, the way it keeps you wanting to keep watching, more and more information is given each episode, but you don't know where it's exactly going to go. And just to throw in for a side note, there is another all-star of the HBO world. You know who I'm talking about, Bill Camp.
Bill Camp. Put him in everything.
He's so good.
Bill Camp is another guy where I just go, all right, put him in as many miniseries as you want. He just plays... he plays different characters, but there's just this thing about him.
You've probably seen him and not know that was Bill Camp, but look up Bill Camp. He's awesome. Everything he's in he does great, and everything he's in.
But so The Night Of, let's take that one for example.
Yeah.
One of your favorites, John Turturro.
I love Turturro.
Turturro's really good.
I love Turturro. Really he's so good in that series. Oh my God, he's so good.
Then you get Riz Ahmed.
Riz Ahmed is awesome.
Really good actor in this kind of form. Because I'm you've seen him in movies, you'll recognize him,
mm-hmm.
And then I don't think he's the type that I'd be let's have him in a 5-season long character arc.
No,
I think he just gets this perfect character development.
Yes,
he's able to transform throughout these. It was 10 episodes.
Yes,
and you see him really become this guy. It's just this transformation where I'm yo,
we don't want to spoil anything,
but man, that was good.
And also for today's times, there are a lot of topical things involved with that series. So just go on Netflix and look at The Night Of.
You really take a second and think about everything that you do.
Yes.
and even the things that happened around you and how your actions can be perceived.
It makes you think about how what you do affects what people think of you and the perception of
It's also like
it.
the story of every predominantly Hispanic mom, since that's what we've been dealing with.
Yep.
They tell us all the time, be careful because these things will happen to you.
And then you never
We
think,
go,
no, like, what?
no
That
way.
never happens.
And then the one, like you watch the show and you go, oh, damn it. That's exactly
Mom,
what
I'm
happened.
sorry, Mom. You're right.
You're
I'm
right.
sorry, Mom.
But no, it's
So
so
good.
it's so good. And it's, so the thing about it, like a miniseries, they take, you know, you're going to be in there for a season. You're going to be in there for a nice stretch. So it's like appointment television. You're going to sit down. You're going to keep watching. You're going to have a lot of hours. But you get that subtlety and callbacks from like things that happen in episode 1 and episode 2 and things that come back around like a couple episodes later. They let those things simmer a little bit more.
Yeah.
So like in a movie, you know, you get some foreshadowing, you get certain things, but things happen pretty quickly.
Yes.
Because you have to develop the whole story. With like a miniseries, so with like The Night Of or How in The Outsider, you see certain things, very small details that'll happen in the story.
Yeah.
But you get time to come back to them little by little.
The reason that the miniseries can work so well is because with a movie, they have to fit everything to that 2 hour or so window. With a series that's expecting to have 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, they can drag out certain things even longer. And then at the end, there may not be as big of a payoff as it was if it wasn't on hold for so long.
Yeah.
So if done correctly, if something with a 10 episode arc, like things that were foreshadowed in episode 2 or episode 3, if they come back in the last episode, it's more fresh in your mind, so you'll be able to experience what the director and the writer were wanting you to experience even better in a shorter period of time.
I think something also that like with miniseries and how TV is consumed nowadays, everybody's binge watching everything.
Of course,
And
yeah.
yeah, so we binge watch these miniseries.
Yeah.
But the difference is when you get to the end, you're like, oh, episode 1 is still fresh in my mind.
Exactly, yeah.
When like if I know people that'll binge watch like, I don't know, Breaking Bad or something, it's like 5-season arc.
Yeah.
But when you get to the end, you go, man, I've been through so much. Also, I've binge watched all this stuff. Your mind is kind of
I can barely remember what the hell happened.
You're like, man, what a ride, because you're processing so much information. And yeah, it's, you know, people enjoy doing that. I personally have a harder time doing it myself because it's just one of those things where I'm like, all right, I can carve out a lot of time for certain things. Certain shows I really like, but it's just hard for me to like really put that commitment in.
Yeah, I mean, I remember
it's a lot.
I remember when the last season of Game of Thrones was going to happen. I had never seen it. I saw like a couple episodes with Chris and like just like of the last season. But as soon as I found out that this season was going to be the last, I binged watched the entire series the month before the show came out. I literally saw the last episode an hour before the new one premiered.
Think of it like this. So the season prior to the last season, Edwin saw like 2 episodes with me and he went, yeah, that's pretty good.
Exactly, yeah.
And I kept, you know, giving him like, yeah, you got time. You should watch this.
You can do it.
And he was like, I'll get to it. Then the last season rolls around, you know, it's announced. And then it's not even just
disappear
announced.
for a month.
There's a day it's premiering. And we both look at each other like, are you going to do this? He goes, yeah, I'll do it. I have never witnessed something like that.
I saw the entire
We watched
series.
the last episode of the prior season together, and then as it ended, we were like, cool, put on the new episode.
Exactly.
It's coming on right now.
I finished the season of the previous season an hour before the new one premiered. And I drove here as fast as I could just to get here on time to watch the new episode.
It's one of those things.
And I forgot so much.
It's great. Yeah, those are great experiences. But it's like you said, it's a lot to take in. And it's like those shows are good. You take them as they come and you get to process stuff and you get a season off and you get to dissect everything that happened.
Yeah.
When you watch a miniseries, you can tell somebody, be like, hey, check this out. Just carve out a weekend, a day or here or there, and just crank that out. 10 episodes.
You can get it done in a day.
Get it done, and then let's talk about that. So I told these guys about like True Detective, season 1.
Yep. Yeah, you haven't watched the first season.
I
remember
the whole
that.
First season because I was like, I need to know. I love Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson. Those two their chemistry is like insane.
Fantastic.
I had to know. Boy, that was good. That was some good.
You finished it
That
like,
was some good television.
and then you were like, guys.
And I was like, guys, yo, just watch the intro with me.
Yeah. I mean, HBO is the king of intros.
HBO's the king of intros. And oh man, like I'm telling you,
so good.
it was worth. And that's the good thing about a miniseries. I got to watch it again and just sit there and be like, let's hit that. It just waves hitting me again, just like, oh my god.
And you're realizing stuff that
and all these things. And I was like, oh
that's
my
the
god,
best. That's
so
the best.
It's something where it's like, it's such a shareable experience that you can rewatch. You can really enjoy a lot of stuff. I think it's one of my favorite types of, consuming of media.
When you give a writer, like, you have 10 episodes to write this story, to me, I would feel like it's easier for them to be like, okay, this is the time allotted that I have, and this is what I have to work with. And they can maximize the time of, like, I have 10 episodes and they're 45 minute, an hour, whatever.
There's also something about, like, a lot of times it'll be like a book or something like that.
That's true.
That's being
a lot of Stephen King stuff.
A lot of Stephen King stuff.
Remember Castle Rock?
Oh my God. That was another one.
Castle Rock was tough. Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't Alex. Yeah, it was Bill. It was Bill
Skarsgård. Yeah. Also, who plays Pennywise. The dude loves his Stephen King, I guess.
He loves to be.
And he loves to be this entity in all these stories.
Yeah, pretty much.
But all right, so even Castle Rock, like, we're just throwing all these things that you guys got to crank out, man.
We watch a lot of TV and movies.
Miniseries, bunch of movies, random ass TV. Mostly HBO.
Mostly HBO.
But all right, so even Castle Rock, oh man. So you get Skarsgård, you get dang it. Oh, what the hell? I gotta look it up now. Shit. Hold on.
The lady?
The
lady, she was in Fargo? The lady from Fargo?
No, I'm talking about Carrie. Sissy Spacek.
Yeah.
And Andre Holland too. Oh, he's good.
Where's the lady from Fargo was there, right? The cop?
Melanie Linsky.
Yes. She was really good.
She was really good.
She was really good.
So you get, and then you kind of get this melding of, like, all right, I've seen these people that do, like, TV that play these certain character roles that are really good.
Yeah.
And you kind of get to see them do different things. That's why, like, Bill Camp is so interesting.
Yes.
Because it's like, all right, yeah, if we were to see him in all these other, like, TV shows or anything like that, you kind of, like, you see a certain guy, and then you'll be like, oh, that's this guy. So when you see, I don't know, freaking Jon Snow.
Kit Harington.
Mm. He's Jon Snow. There's no, like, getting by it. And he's been in other things. And
he's another HBO miniseries.
It's another HBO miniseries. But, like, when you see him, you go, that's Jon Snow.
Yeah.
When you see these other people that do these shorter form things, they're in and out, you kind of just fall in love with the character for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, it's done, and you're like, oh, that was, like, I don't know. I have an appreciation for certain performances.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, Riz Ahmed in The Night Of, like, I'd never thought he could do that. Like,
that was one of those where when you watch it and you go, it's like, I don't know, you want to see a highlight reel for somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, if you're just watching these random, like, performances here and there, you're not getting the full spectrum of what a person can do.
Definitely.
And then, like, yeah, you can watch a movie and be like, oh, really? Like, this is dope. But when you're sitting down and you get, like, a good chunk of a person just doing different shit in this one story, you go, oh, snap. Like, so Riz Ahmed, like, from one thing to the next, I was like, damn, you're getting so much, like, just, I don't know. Like, I wanted to see, like, after that, I wanted to see, like, him and more stuff. And every time he popped up in anything else, I was like, oh, shit, it's Riz Ahmed.
He's so good, man. He's such a good actor. And he's a rapper. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
He's a pretty good rapper, too.
He's a pretty good rapper. So
it's
like, yeah, you see that and you go, oh, man, like, that's crazy. And then even, like, so Andre Holland in Castle Rock, we see him and we're like, yo, he played a pretty good role. You know, it was a wild show.
It was wild.
And you kind of, you don't go and you see him and go, oh, yeah, like, he's always going to be this character from Castle Rock. No. But then you see him in other things and you go, oh, I'm in on this now.
He was in High Flying Bird.
Yeah. And that movie was, like, random as hell, basketball nerd movie. Like anybody that's interested
Soderbergh.
in Steven Soderbergh type movies shot on iPhone. Like, trust me, mind blowing.
The movie was good,
it was a really good movie. And you go, oh snap! Like I see this guy who I'm like, oh, now I have this relationship to this like person. Where I'm like, oh, I want to see what else they're doing.
Absolutely.
I'm like, oh, a new movie popped up. They're in it. Or whatever Bill Skarsgård's doing. I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I'm in. I can see
anything
what he can
Sissy
do.
Spacek is in. I'm gonna watch.
Classic.
Because she's awesome.
And then it's like, oh, Mahershala Ali. Like, what movies are you gonna do next? Oh no, he does True Detective. And we go, oh, snap.
Yo, I remember when they announced that, we were like, yo,
what is going on?
Mahershala Ali is gonna be the star of a True Detective season. Oh hell. Yes.
And guess what? He fucking killed it.
He fucking killed it. And we're about to kill it in this break that we're about to kill, and you're about to watch something real quick, and we'll be right back at you. Goddamn claps again. We're back.
We are back. Oh man. But like kind of staying on like the whole miniseries and even in a way like docuseries.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely.
So like all right, there's something I don't know, it's to me it's such an enjoyable like experience to like get something. It's like a comet passing through and you go, damn, that was cool. So
absolutely.
Like The Last Dance was 100% like that. So again, 10 episodes, an hour every weekend.
It took over the world.
For
a month,
the
2
Jordan
months.
doc. It was mesmerizing. Appointment television right there.
Absolutely.
Every Sunday, we were like, yo, we have to watch this. And it was like just super compelling television.
Us being basketball nerds who were already in, but the fact that they're like, yeah, it's a documentary, a docu-series about Michael Jordan. How is that not going to be the biggest thing in the world?
We've never seen before, and
like the story of Michael,
story that we grew up post Michael, essentially. You know,
at the end, at the end of his career,
5 years old when he had finished the second three-peat. So,
yeah,
you know, I remember a little bit. I know there was like a frenzy of Jordan stuff.
I remember, yeah,
but I didn't experience it like that. But watching it, and I always knew Jordan was the guy.
Yeah, because anybody that grew up in the 80s and 90s, it's MJ.
They knew.
I mean,
it was MJ.
It's MJ. So
I still think it's MJ because
yeah.
And then when we watch the series, we go, yo, there's a reason it's MJ.
It's the how did I don't think anybody knew that. Obviously, well, we didn't know that there was a crew that followed him around for that last season. Like, how did? No wonder they got all this great footage.
They had all this footage, and then there's something about the beauty of shooting with film where they were able to make it
look so good now.
So good.
It looks
so good. And it's like, yo, like, who, like, just watching it, I'm like, yo, this dude was on some other shit.
The way that his mind works about when it comes to basketball and when it comes to anything just being competitive.
He was looking at the iPad and going, I ain't had no problem with the glove.
Yo, that was so funny.
It's just so that's the other thing. Like you get to watch something like that, and there's like instantly you can share these stories and go, yeah, like just check it out. Like you're gonna know what people are talking about, and it becomes like a meme. And
how butthurt Isaiah Thomas was.
Isaiah Thomas was super butthurt about stuff.
I saw someone. I met all the criteria, but I wasn't selected. That meme has been used everywhere. That meme has been used everywhere. Shit. And that's the other thing with the series like that. And I think it started with Game of Thrones, but the fact that Twitter is just on fire even during the premieres of these episodes. And even after like it completes, like you can still go back and watch the season, and you can still reference stuff from the series. And the fact that it's just so easily consumed. I mean, it's not on Netflix yet, but it's going to be on Netflix, which is really smart of them. But knowing that there's not going to be another season of this, there's not going to be another. You could just go and just experience what everybody experienced, and you don't have to worry about, oh, am I far behind? Just go and watch it and experience it.
It's like something that, like, you know, most movies don't capture, most television doesn't capture. It's these things that just happen in the pop culture, and it's like they're not going anywhere.
No.
And
that was something for the decade. That was already something.
Like,
already.
And the big thing, like just watching it, and you this is what good, compelling television, when you get, because originally they had this documentary already kind of set. Yeah. It was like a 2-hour like cut. And I look and I think about it, I'm like, yo,
there's no way. There's no way.
We don't get the same experience with what that Jordan doc did.
We don't get a whole worm episode.
Exactly. We don't get a whole episode about Phil Jackson. We don't
Steve
get
Kerr. Like,
we don't get that moment where Jordan, like at the end of it was like episode 4 or 5 or something, or 5 or 6, and he's talking about like the way he played and the way he was on his guys.
Oh yeah. And
he was like, look, if you don't like how I do things, if you don't want to be there, you know, I'm sorry, but like that's how I play. And he had like a tear coming down, and I was like, yeah, I felt that.
He all he wanted to do was win. That's all
like,
he wanted to win.
Play like that, like, yo,
get off of his team.
Get off my team. But this is how I play.
One game where LeBradford Smith scores 35 on him, and then the next game he's never heard from again.
No, he makes up a story.
That was so crazy.
That LeBradford Smith talked shit to him when he dropped 30-some points.
It wasn't real.
But it wasn't real. And the next game he came in, and they were like, yo, you heard LeBradford, like, you know, poke the bear. And it's like, no, this man ended a freaking innocent bystander's career.
He never scored. He never scored in like double digits again.
Because he was like, yeah, I just need to make shit up to get motivated I can just destroy people.
You guys not understand. Before Michael Jordan came into the league, Clyde Drexler was regarded as one of the best 2 guards in the game. And within 3 seasons,
he took everything from him.
The fact that people don't remember Clyde Drexler is crazy, because he was one of the best, and Michael was like, he's not better than me, and that's it.
The thing is, Michael, he did that. He destroyed Clyde Drexler.
Reggie Miller.
He beat Reggie. He beat the Pistons.
The Knicks.
Beat the Knicks.
Sorry, Brian.
Sir Charles never got a chip. He made sure Stockton and Malone didn't get a chip.
Nope.
There was nobody like that.
I mean, the only thing he fell to was the fucking Orlando Magic, baby. That's the only thing we can take credit for, guys. Come on, give it to me. Come on, that's all I can get. That's all I can get, man. We're the last team to beat Michael in the playoffs.
The only team to beat Michael in the playoffs.
We're the last team to beat Michael in the playoffs. All right,
since the Celtics.
So, all right, give it to me, man. That's all I can get right now.
That's what The Last Dance brought us.
Yes, and we wouldn't have been able to see the in-depth stories on Steve Kerr and Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen and all these.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't know about Steve Kerr's dad.
Me neither. I had
no idea.
I had no idea.
It's like, yeah, it makes so much sense that this man has like such a passion for like just gun rights and certain things, like just certain
social issues.
It's like, yeah, it makes sense considering his history. And then the dude also just hits one of the biggest shots in fucking NBA history. Yeah. And then
we wouldn't have learned that Dennis Rodman disappeared in Vegas for like a
48 hours in Vegas, turned into like 36 hours, and then just kept going and never came back. And they had to go pick his ass up. And it's like The Hangover, where it's like in the hotel room. Carmen Electra's like there, and Jordan and Pippen have to go in and pick him up.
Phil Jackson's like, so they asked, what are you going to do about it? Like, what do you want me to do? He's Dennis Rodman. He's going to come in and get 30 rebounds in the next game. That's all we need him to do.
Like, and then also, I didn't know about like Jerry Krause, one of the best GMs in sports history.
Right?
Doesn't get the credit. You know, obviously he had his own issues with the team after. But it's like, yeah, it's one of those things where you go,
he went out and got Tony Kukoc. He knew
Tony Kukoc.
He went out. He got his guy. I mean, the series was so good that now they're talking about doing the Magic Johnson series, and there's going to be something that's going to come out for Kobe. There's going to be something. Kobe's going to have his own that's going to come out. It's so the fact that the Michael Jordan one was so good, like now we're just going to see all these other ones starting to come out with more in-depth stories on the NBA, which I'm here for it. Give it all of it. Give me
everything.
Give me everything.
I just want to keep watching stuff like this.
It's so good.
So good.
Now, can we change pace just a little bit?
Sure.
And talk about the case against Adnan Syed.
Let's just bring it back to HBO.
It all comes back to HBO, I guess.
So if you guys have never heard, personally, I love podcasts. I don't know if you're listening and watching one right now.
You would think that we were a fan of podcasts.
So I like them.
You can listen to us on Apple Music, on Spotify.
Spotify, give us a bag.
Apple Podcasts. And Spotify, please.
Give us a bag. So Serial was a big podcast that took over, and again, it's one of these things where it's like 10 episodes. It took the world by storm. It was like this one singular story about a person named Anand Syed, who was convicted of a murder of his ex-girlfriend in high school.
Yeah. In the 90s.
Yeah. And there was... Now... We never really can say whether he did it or not, but he was convicted.
Yes.
And there's still it was a very interesting case.
Yes.
So then HBO said, the success of this podcast series, we're going to make a show.
So many people were in tune with it and again, so engaged.
We watched that shit day of because it was like, it was compelling television.
Yes.
To see the courtroom stuff happening, to see the testimony of people that never got a chance to speak before.
Yes.
And it's like, all these things. And again, it's one of those things where you kind of make a decision for yourself, but watching it is like, it sparks a discussion. It sparks also certain things about like the kind of people that, you have around you and the kind of things that you involve yourself with.
Yes.
Are very important. And it's like, it sparks that debate and discussion amongst, us.
Yeah.
We had a whole discussion about like, that's
after
crazy,
every episode
stuff like that happened. We're like, this is wild, but like, how does this make sense? And it's like, well, you got to think about it like this, and you got to think about it on their side and the proof and all the evidence that's on this side. And it's like watching something like that. And then once it was over, it was like, you don't have to worry about like, if it was just some other things like, next season, we'll just move on. Yeah. It's like one of those things.
We'll cover that plot point next season.
You can always turn back to and be like, hey, if you want to watch something and have like just a perspective on something that you never knew about, you can throw that out there and be like, hey, why don't you watch like this Anand Syed docuseries? Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh shoot, I never knew about this. I never thought about these things.
It's crazy the whole format of like I don't know if this is the official name for it, but like the crowd detective, like where the audience is like, because even the Serial podcast became so popular because there was people giving their own theories, because there's a lot of stuff about the case doesn't add up, and according to a lot of people. So like when the Serial podcast was out, the reason it started is because there was a lot of information that wasn't adding up, and it was very interesting, and people were giving their own theories on it, and people were giving their own takes on it. So they put the mini series format together to compile as much information as they should and try to make it compelling for an audience to watch. And there's something that's come out recently that I watched on Netflix. The Unsolved Mysteries is back, and I watched the whole season except for one episode because it was in it was in a different language, and I was like listening to it while I was working, so I couldn't read the subtitles at the same time, so I only missed like one episode. But the Unsolved Mysteries, that series is so it's interesting because they are using it as a way to like, hey, if you have any information about what's going on here, call us because we want to know. A lot of shit is unsolved and unable to like really be like, I don't know. It's really interesting. So the fact that this mini series format, every episode is different. So like if you want to watch Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix, you can start on episode 4 or 5 or whatever. They don't connect. So that the art of putting it in that format and giving people like, here's an hour and a half of information about this mystery, it's so compelling to me. Like I watched the entire series like in a day. So the Adnan Syed one, the way that they were able to put it all together in that, what was it, 10 episodes?
I think it was a little less.
like
I think it was
eight
episodes.
or 9 episodes. They were able to go into different, like, I don't know, the way that they were talking to his friends and other people. And that one fucking guy that was her ex-boyfriend that was never interviewed. I'm just saying, watch the show. I'm sorry.
It's really good.
Watch the show because that shit still pisses me off. They couldn't find the guy that was her ex. He disappeared.
It was only 4 episodes.
It was only 4 episodes?
Yeah, I remember it was short.
It was 4 episodes?
4 episodes. They brought some good stuff. You know, they had footage. That
I feel like there was so much stuff that happened in those 4 episodes.
It's all the conversation we had afterwards.
Maybe it was. We talked for like an hour after every.
It's like
after
you get to
everyone.
dissect everything and just have these conversations after it. That's the other part about it. It's
The conversation.
the conversation and getting a chance to break things down. I like to go in and read up on stuff and be like, oh, let me look into what else is going on in here, how all these things tie together. Whether it's like something like that, where it's a docuseries, or whether it's a show like based on the Stephen King book, where I can go, oh, what connections are made for what characters and all these things. There's something about a community gathering when it comes to these things, and especially in the age of the internet, it's made it so much easier to connect with people. And it's like, oh, like it's fun to have a discussion on these things and be like, okay, cool. And then you get to move on to like the next thing. And somebody like me who I'm like always like, I gotta watch this movie or do this. Like, it's good to like still get that taste of like TV fandom kind of thing.
I'm a watcher of film and series that I need closure. I need it.
Yes, you do.
I need it.
It's definitely one of those things.
I find it really, that's why when I start a series, I have to finish it. Like, because I cannot know what happens. So like the miniseries just works so well for me because I know that at the end of the season, there's going to be some sort of closure. There's going to be some sort of climax or ending to the story. So like, that's why I love movies so much, because there's closure. You're going to have to give me the closure by the end of the film, more or less. There's always going to be cliffhangers and stuff of sorts, but for the most part, there's going to be beginning, middle, and end. Here you go. So the fact that people used to, that's why they watch Game of Thrones until the end, because I feel like every episode there was more questions than there were answers.
100%.
Like I'm not going to get involved with this because I'm just going to get upset.
It was tough.
Like, that's why I was like, this is the last one. Okay, now I'm gonna watch it because this is the last one. But before, like every episode, there was more questions than answers, so I can't watch it. I couldn't do it. I can't.
Nah, I feel you on that. I really there is that sense of like, some people don't like ending shows, and that's why shows go on forever.
Yeah,
it's like there's like, it's like leaving a really good friend, and some people don't want to do that.
I get it.
Personally, I like a good ending. I like to be able to be like, oh, that was nice.
Yes.
To just like, or whether it's tragic ending, but it's like,
which happens more often than not.
It's like able to let go of that and go, well, that was a great experience.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh yeah. And it's like, yeah, certain TV shows do that, but usually like, it's just hard for me to get in there and like get to like plow through a whole show.
It's hard because knowing
like there's shows I want to watch on HBO that I know are like classics. So The Sopranos and The Wire.
There's so many.
But I'm like, there's so many damn seasons. And I'm like, yo, how am I going to get through all of this? And I watched like season 1 of Sopranos. Really good. And obviously I wanted to keep watching.
Yeah.
But it's like, damn, man, like I have only so much time.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, how am I going to get through this? Like it's daunting sometimes.
I get anxiety. Like somebody recommended for me to watch the show The 100 on Netflix. There's like 7 seasons. I get anxiety. I can't.
Would you say there was like 100 episodes?
There's 100 episodes per season, I guess, or something. Because there's seven
That's
seasons. So I get anxiety. I can't watch. No, I can't do it.
The only thing I can do that with is like anime. Like if I'm just being honest. But even anime miniseries. Actually, I'm gonna throw one at you.
Go for it.
Erased.
Oh
Erased
yeah,
is really good.
Yeah.
One just super good season of this story, start to finish. You're like in.
Absolutely.
Like you're just hooked. There's twists and turns, but you never get that sense of like, oh my God, they're gonna leave this story. No, they finished up and tied it all together.
Yeah.
And it's like getting that closure in anime, you don't usually get that kind of closure.
You can be like One Piece and have 2,000 episodes.
Have episodes forever, and we know that they're never gonna find the fucking One Piece.
It's never gonna happen.
There's no reason for them to end it.
I think
Naruto and Boruto and Hamtaro, they're gonna continue to do the damn show. They were like, no, this is the last season. They're older now. Oh no, now it's Naruto's kids. All right, so when does this end?
When I heard that, I was like,
he's been Hokage for like
what?
12 years at this point.
We're gonna talk about his son. What?
So it's like these shows that never end, and that's the one thing I do like watching anime. But it's something about when a show even there gets you like a nice short story, and you go, damn, that was dope,
so good.
And it's like, it's something. It's I don't know. It's like that same feeling when you used to like read a book when you were a kid. Like you used to go. Like,
I didn't read.
Book for that. Damn it. For me,
I read for like 2 years, and that was it.
I would go to like the book fairs and be like, yeah, I want to like pick out this book, and I'll read through it and I'll go, damn, that was kind of cool, awesome. But like when you get to the last page, it's the last thing. They got to tie it up somehow.
Yeah.
And it's like, I like knowing that last page is somewhere. And
the endings aren't always great, but
I can
knowing
crank through this thing,
knowing
and it's
that,
oh, that was great. Like I have these, I don't know, maybe that's what gave me like very imaginative like sense.
Yeah, I would think
growing up, where I'm just like I go through a whole thing and I'm like so many different perspectives. If I was just reading the same, like if I was just reading Animorphs the entire fucking time, like I would probably be a very different adult than I would be right now. But I think so. Different books, all this stuff. So
Animorphs is weird.
Now. Like, yeah, so
it's like you're reading Goosebumps for every like
if I only read Goosebumps, like, yeah, some people just did that, and then like they made the Goosebumps movie, but that's great. But I'm like, yeah, I'm a little more diverse now.
Not do that,
I have a little different taste, and it's because I was always reading different things. And just like now as an adult, I still try to read, but I just watch different types of television and different, like all these different things where I'm like, that's like, I get all these different perspectives.
I'm going to throw out one that I know you're going to be extremely happy about. Potatoes.
Yo, all right. Oh my God. Oh, all right. Another, probably on my Hall of Fame miniseries is Over the Garden Wall.
Amazing.
Just
amazing.
I don't even like.
It's hard to explain.
It's hard to explain. It just gives me that feeling of like, that makes me feel like a kid again.
Yes.
But also in a weird, dark way.
Absolutely.
Because it's a weirdly dark story. But again, miniseries where they get something that you would never expect. Elijah Wood, of all people, to freaking voice a character on this Cartoon Network miniseries that's based around fucking Halloween and shit. And it's like, what just happened?
It's like a fairy tale take on, it's really hard. It's adult.
And if you were to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this animated show and it goes on for like 17 seasons.
There's no way.
Elijah Wood's not doing that, but you get this random blip of this thing called Over the Garden Wall and you go, oh shit. And till this day, I watch it almost once a year.
Yes.
And I sing the songs around Halloween time.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, potatoes and molasses.
So good. So
like, it's so stupid.
The fact that even in cartoon form, like the miniseries can work. So I mean, with that, the fact that somebody thought of that, I was like, yeah, let's just do it.
They were like, we got this story to tell. It's gonna be, and they're only 10, technically 12, but half hour, like not even half hour. So you can crank it out in like a night.
Pretty much, yeah. We did that.
We did that, and it's like this dark fairy tale story. But with dumb kid humor as well.
Yeah.
And honestly, really nice animation. Like
it was really, there were some nice, really scary parts.
There's some scary stuff
like you would think. Yeah.
And it's like, it's something where I can go, hey, like I can throw that out there and be like, yo, do you want to watch? Like, it's something that I can throw out for TV watchers instead of just, I can recommend movies all left and right. But I'm like, sometimes people don't watch like movies and stuff. They're not the biggest fan. I can throw out stuff like this.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yo, you want to check something out like that? Like, yeah, here you go.
I just feel like there can be an oversaturation of a thing. So like Over the Garden Wall, like I feel like one season, it was perfect. And then there was like 2 or 3 or 4 more seasons. I don't know. even though
It's like, how much more can you stretch this out?
even though it's a world that I love, like that in and of itself doesn't mean we need to see so much of it. That's why I'm kind of afraid of Stranger Things. Like, because I feel like the first season of Stranger Things
the first season was great.
I think it was amazing. The second season was good. I still haven't seen the third season. It was
all right. I felt
like it was okay.
Again, when they tried to expand it more, it just had some weird stuff that I felt was underdeveloped.
Exactly.
But that's where I go, how much are you trying to stretch this out? And I get it. It became a phenomenon.
Yeah. Yeah.
But me personally, I never kept up with it because I kind of, lost I felt like it lost steam in that second season.
Yeah.
So
I feel
it kind of lost me a little bit.
Yeah. The first season was so good. Like the way that it captured the 80s feel, but it felt like the Goonies, and it felt like a detective story, sort of. Like I feel like the combination of everything just worked so well in that first season. And then like we said, the second season was okay.
It was good,
but I feel like it's an oversaturation of so much. And there can be too much of a good thing sometimes.
The thing is, it all then comes down to at what point. Then the question doesn't become, Stranger Things was great. It becomes, when does Stranger Things actually end?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's like, that becomes a thing that kind of looms over the story.
Absolutely.
Something that you're going to be thinking about as it's going on. And then eventually, it'll end, and it'll be, hopefully, you really hope and pray that it doesn't end badly.
Exactly, yeah.
Because that's the other big thing is, like, certain shows, they can be amazing, and then they try to do one too many, seasons, and then it just, one of my favorite show of all time, it had that issue. Scrubs had an infamous final season that it was just like, why they stretched it out because they wanted to stretch it out. It was great IP, but it was like, I thought this was done.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it was
the lost season.
It's the lost season because we don't want to talk about it anymore.
I feel like that's one I'm afraid it's going to happen with a show like Ozark. Like the first season of Ozark was fucking great. The second season was also really good, but like there's only so much shit that
I'm happy that there's now an end in sight for it.
Yeah,
but it's still one of those things where it's like, like a show that really prided itself on these characters, getting through these situations, but it's like, at what point does it get beyond that?
Yeah, like
where it gets like too much, where it's like, all right, now it's whether it's plot armor or they're just figuring out things to throw at people for the hell of it. It's like, all right, what point do we, kind of start falling out of love with something like that? Because we had too much of the thing where it's like, where even the writers stop like really giving it like what they had in the
longer a series goes, the more plot devices and the more story arcs that you have to introduce to keep everything going. And then if abruptly the series ends, if they're like, oh, you have one more season and you have 18 different plot lines that you're gonna want to try to tie up,
you get a Game of Thrones final season.
You get a Game of Thrones. I totally think that if the season was 4 episodes longer, we could still end where we ended and people wouldn't have been mad for the most part. Obviously, there's going to be people that disagree with the ending just in general. I don't agree with the ending. I don't disagree with the ending. I disagree with how we got to the ending. So if the season was 4 more episodes and they were able to tie off the different plot points that they had from the whole 7 prior seasons, it would feel much more organic, and it would give the audience a time to digest everything and understand why we got to where we got. So with these other series that are just still going, I'm afraid that there might be too much of a good thing, and it might. I don't know. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it's when TV, the actual industry takes hold, and they just keep wanting to crank out shows.
Yeah, just for money.
For money, that's where it goes. All right, at what point, am I still going to be a fan of this thing?
Grey's Anatomy.
I've never watched it, but yeah, it happens.
Supernatural.
Big Bang Theory.
Oh my God, I forgot about that one.
Spin-offs and all this. Like it's a lot.
I forgot about that one. The only one that was worth, not the only one, but the one that was worth all the seasons was Avatar: The Last Airbender. I went ahead and I rewatched it when they dropped back on Netflix. It's still amazing. If you've never,
even that one they ended.
That's what I'm
when they
saying.
had to end it.
Exactly. Like even though it was so many seasons, it was only like 3 or 4 seasons.
Like
Now
3 or
that I
4
think of
seasons.
something like that.
And they ended it.
If you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, go watch it. But the reason why I feel like they did that right is because the series ended and they wanted to still be in that world, sort of. So they came out with Legend of Korra, which is fantastic also. So you can still be in the world of a series that you love, but it doesn't necessarily have to continue the specific story of a certain character, even though Aang and all those people are still sort of involved with that other season. So that's what I feel like most of these series could do is like maybe we have a season or two of a certain shit. And then
That's what most of these series have to do. End.
And just like how we are going to end this podcast.
Like, eventually all good things have to end.
This good thing is going to end. But before we end, we're going to let you know that you can like, comment, and subscribe to the video if you're listening on a podcast. Can you guys let us know if you listen on a podcast site? Just to, if you're listening on Spotify.
If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, anything like that.
Can you let us know?
I'm going to just drop my number and y'all just text me and let me know.
Don't do that. But we are going to put our Twitters, or our IG handles
Instagram.
We're going to put our Instagrams. Tell us the platform.
Crowd Culture.
Please, can you just let us know what, we just want to get an idea of what format you guys like.
Have been watching. Let us know what you guys want us to watch.
Please recommend stuff. Yeah, I recommend. But if it has more than like 3 seasons, don't recommend it because I won't watch it.
Unless it's the NBA, I'll watch every season.
Come back, NBA. We miss you.
Bye.
Potatoes and molasses.